Okay. All right. Let's do this. Hi, everybody. It is the 1st of February. It's the 1st of the month. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Cash your checks and get up. Hi, how are you? My name is Luke Thomas. Welcome. This is going to be my UFC Saudi Arabia Imavov live stream. But not just a watch along. We're going to do a post-fight show as well. So here's how this is going to go. There are currently 3 fights left on the main card. The feature fight, it's a heavyweight contest. Sergei Pavlovich and Jairzinho Rozenstruik. We'll watch that. Then we'll watch the co-main event, the Bullet Magomedov and MVP fight. And then, of course, the main event, Israel Adesanya, however you wish to pronounce it, takes on Nassourdine Imavov in the main event. We're going to watch that too. We're going to react and watch the whole thing in real time. And then as soon as the main event is over, we're going to flip a switch right on this. We don't have to change streams right here on this stream. And we're going to do a post-fight show kind of wrapping up and contextualizing and analyzing everything that we've seen. First, order of business. Thumbs up if you haven't given one yet to the stream. Subscribe if you haven't. Doesn't cost you nothing to do either of those things. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything. You can have a double negative. But I've been speaking a lot of Spanish. You can double negative in Spanish. It's very, very confusing. No one told me this when I first started learning the language. You can just totally do it. No hay nada. You can just say stuff like that. You know what I mean? Anyway, neither here nor there. I'm excited about this. This should be a lot of fun. And as a reminder, we're going to have a stream tonight as well to watch just the co-main event and then the main event for David Benavidez and David Morrell. By the way, BC, Brian Campbell, one half of Morning Combat on that call. That's the biggest call of his career. Big time for him. I know he's really, really excited. I know that phone call he got kind of came out of left field. So he was thrilled beyond imagination to get it. So we're really, really happy for him. We can't wait for that. By the way, even if he wasn't calling that fight, that's a can't miss one, but we'll get to that one tonight. Oh God, I can't keep doing these motherfucking ads, man. I don't know what ad is populating. If you're an American or if you're catching this through ESPN Plus, I don't know what ad is populating whenever they go between rounds or between production elements and they have to throw to commercial. Every single time it's this one for me. I'll just quickly show it. Hang on. I'll quickly show it. It's this one, right? It's that one. Okay. It's the here, real quickly. That one. Okay. It's the Scout Motors ad. They just play it every time. I love CCR, but I don't need to hear the beginning of that song 50,000 times in a single afternoon. What are we doing here? All right. And then last thing, but not least thing, if you want to get any comment, reaction, joke, whatever on the screen, fire something into the super chat and then we'll throw it up there. And I appreciate everyone who's been a member. Speaking of which, look at this. We got Dave out here just gifting memberships. Go get them, boys and girls. Right now, one of them is free. Dustin says, great fights so far. Oliveira is a problem. Yes, I watched 2 of the rounds. I didn't see the last one only because I had to get everything ready here. But yes, it looked pretty good. Also, Fares, I think that's how you pronounce it. Fares Ziam. Good fight against Mike Davis. I want to be very clear about this. I thought Ziam looked good, like made good decisions, had good offense, had, for the most part, good defense. Some of the uppercuts he was throwing were really good. Targeting was smart. He was accurate. Like, I don't have a single thing negative to say about Ziam's performance. It was very good. Like, he looked great. Something was off about Mike Davis. I don't know. I don't know what it was. He pulls guard immediately, and he has a good guard. Like, he was competent with it. There was one part where I'd have to go back and look at the sequence. It looked like he went from, like, X guard to then when he lost it to recapturing De La Hiva into Reap into 411 into calf slicer, then kept the calf slicer while not from the back, now moves on top and then tries to get a head and arm triangle at the same time. He didn't get it, but I'd never seen that before. I'd never seen in MMA 411 calf slicer combo with head and arm triangle. That was new. I don't know how Ziam's knees are doing, but I hope they're okay. Got my protein shake. I will tell you, man, I did 3 back-to-back to back 10-minute EMOMs today. If you don't know what an EMOM is, it's not a mom you bang electronically. EMOM stands for every minute on the minute. And so it's like, you have 10-minute EMOM, and it's like every minute you can do, I don't know, I'll make something up, 10 push-ups or something, right? And so you do that like at the strike of every minute. I did 3 of those today, but each one had either 2 or 3 exercises, and now I'm like legitimately short of breath. Something happened during the holidays. I got some kind of respiratory illness. I think I mentioned this on the last live chat. I got some kind of respiratory illness, and I feel for the most part pretty fine, but now when I exercise, I get short of breath pretty quickly. Yeah, that sucks. Getting old sucks. Respiratory illnesses suck. But in any case, it was a good workout other than that. All right, here's Sergei Pavlovich. 15 first-round finishes. 4th highest knockout rate in UFC history, 3.2 per 15 minutes. Yeah, that's pretty good. 8th highest significant strike rate in UFC heavyweight. I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean, but okay, very good. I'll tell you what, I've been drinking protein shakes for a long time. They've definitely gotten better. But not much better. It's not like they've made a quantum leap. You know what I mean? They've really not. All right, here's the tail of the tape. Let's take a look at it here very quickly if we can. There we are. There's your tail of the tape. 32, 36, 6'3", 6'2", 249, 252, 84-inch reach for old Pavlovich. That is pretty significant. That should be a lot of fun. Alan says, I just woke up from a nap. Do you like naps? If I am not, I have a hard time taking naps because I live with anxiety, but if I don't have that, then I like doing them. Let's see, he says, I stumbled home from the pub and realized when I got home, the card is on. Hell yeah, dude. Big win at 4 a.m. in Australia. Let's go, Izzy. Hell yeah, bro. Dude, I mean, I haven't stumbled home from the bar in a long time, but those were the days. Aaron says, thoughts on how Ilya versus Arman goes at 55. Could that be I think the physicality of Arman is a problem for him. I do. I think Ilya is I think Ilya is much more skilled than Arman, but I think Arman's physicality and that wrestling doggedness is going to be a problem for him. I believe that. All right. Here's Pavlovich. 6'3", 249, fighting out of Moscow, Russia. He's your 290 minus 290 favorite, according to DraftKings. By the way, here's how MAGA UFC is. Tucker Carlson is at the fights, which by itself would not necessarily be all that MAGA, in Saudi Arabia. Holy fuck, dude. All right, here we go. Round 1, your referee, Mark Smith. Is it my imagination, or is Rozenstruik wearing the new gloves? Look at the gloves Rozenstruik is wearing. Are both of them wearing the new gloves? Is that my imagination? Did they say they were going to do them for fight nights? I can't remember. All right, here we go. Both of them orthodox. Leg kicks early from the stepping advance to the jab from Rozenstruik. I'm going to say this. Rozenstruik is definitely a cleaner striker than Pavlovich. About that, there is very little doubt in my mind. Pavlovich, however, more devastating. And he might be able to mix it up with the wrestling. We shall see. Big left hook misses for Pavlovich. Personally, this is just me talking. Big right hand as he faded off to his left from Pavlovich. That was nice. I was going to say, I always pay attention to how each person holds their hands. It's almost like everyone's got their own little handwriting. There's different positions and different ways in which they teach, but I don't know. It says a lot about what the natural way that people, and I realize that these are, they've been taught a certain way, but what has become natural through instruction, how they hold their hands. Do they hold like this? Do they hold them high? Is it low? Like what? It speaks to their fighting personality a little bit. So it looks to me early, Rozenstruik trying to bait responses. There, you just saw him do it. Faked a jab. He got a jab response and then hit the inside leg kick. Rozenstruik waiting a little bit, trying to bait it out, trying to counter strike. And then Pavlovich trying to see what he can set up. And you see now he's using a bit of a long guard to elicit responses. He's so far gotten some hand traps out of Rozenstruik. Or I should say parries. What am I saying? Fuck, I didn't turn the clock on. My bad. We'll get that for the next one. Sorry, gang. My bad. I'll set this up. I'll say when we're at 230, 234, 233, 232, 231, 230. Sorry about that, gang. Oh, right hand just a little short for Pavlovich. Pavlovich could benefit by jabbing to the body, but I think he's really worried about being countered because Rozenstruik's just waiting on everything. You see that? And then kind of double faking with that with the lead leg round kick. If I'm Pavlovich, man, like throw in some takedown attempts, even if they don't go anywhere. Like you can see him play with the levels a little bit, but he's not really selling it. You see that? He's moving, but he's not really selling it. Oh, there he stepped in with the big hard jab and then the 1-2. That was nice. Open up, big fella. It looks like he can't see it all coming. Oh, well, I don't know if he felt because he got hit with the right hand or if he just got tripped. I don't know, but Rozenstruik's on his back now in half guard. 1 minute to go in round one. Yeah, it looks like he got tripped up. So Rozenstruik obviously just going to hang on from here. 10 seconds left. I mean, I wasn't really judging, but it definitely looked like Pavlovich won that round, right? Okay, round one's in the books. I'll make sure that I have what you need for round two. And here's this fucking ad again. Jesus Lord, man. I don't want to hear that shit. Sometimes I think Alan W.'s wife looks at their credit card bill and says, who the F is Luke? He's generous. I'm not going to complain. He's generous, my friend. There he is again. Pav looks like a mix of Lesnar and Andrew Golota. Dude, he kind of does. That's a great call. Alex says, what's up, Luke? Gummies in the tummy and vapes locked and loaded. Yeah, I went and restocked yesterday. Well, I'm trying not to hit this one because it's the short of breath, right? All right, let's get this one ready this time. Christ on crutches, man. Fairly uneventful first round. Not that great, right? Not that great. Not terrible. Just fine. All right, here we go. Here we go. All right, round two. Mine might be a little slow. So Pavlovich definitely trying to circle to his left, and you just saw Rozenstruik try and kind of cut him off there. He definitely enjoys fading over to his left to create a lane for the right. That's definitely something he's doing. Yeah, this is what I mean about Pavlovich. Like, he just threw that front kick. I would love to see him add just a few more weapons. I think it would really open up his striking. Just a few, man. Not a whole lot. Just add a couple more real nice ways to complement the boxing, a couple more ways to better add misdirection. You know what I mean? Man, missed with that overhand. Rozenstruik just waiting around a lot, man. Just waiting around a lot. Anybody been to CPI stem cells in the fucking back there? Dude, look at Pavlovich. He moves in the exact same way almost every time. He does kind of like these pre-slips, right to left. There it is. Usually steps with it. Good jab from Rozenstruik. Oh, and then another one with a big left hand. Pavlovich just straight up in the air, eats a left hook on his way in. Look at this. He does the same movement every time. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And then, rhythm steps. It's the same thing. This is what I mean. Like, put a little variety in there. It's a lot of movement, but it's a lot of movement that doesn't do a whole lot. Crowd's starting to get restless. Here's referee Mark Smith telling him to do something. Yeah, I agree. Do something, y'all. What the fuck are we doing here? 4 versus 9 in the world. This division is in shambles. Big right hand. Biggie Boy tries to throw a right hand. He oversteps and then intersects with, I should say, less of an intercept, a right hand from Pavlovich. Now there's 2:15 left on the clock or so, and Pavlovich is on top. And he's just going to what? I mean, unless Pavlovich can pound him out here, this is going to go the full distance of the round anyway, right? Bro, this division is in shambles. I mean, this division is in shambles. Golly. Can you imagine 4 versus 9 and like at flyweight and the guy on bottom like would just ride out 2-3 minutes in half guard because there's really no other game from there? It's like, what? Can you imagine what somebody as talented, like imagine someone as skilled and athletic as Islam was all of a sudden just a heavyweight, like you could just make him a heavyweight. Can you imagine like the fucking damage he would do to these people? Yeah. So Pavlovich has no live toes. It's going to be very, very hard for him to like really put any weight. You see him putting his head down. That's nice. And you see him getting underneath the chin or like to the outside of the jaw. He's also complementing it with frames. This is good to keep Rozenstruik flat. That's nice. And maybe he doesn't even want to beat the half guard. Maybe he feels fine doing that. This is nice, but he's not really opening up from here. This is good to control, to set something else up, but it's not, you know what I mean? Like if your head is pinned the whole time, they are going to feel that. They are going to be pinned as a subsequent result, right? That's obvious. But if your head is constantly being the pinning mechanism, and you're giving up, what you can see Rozenstruik catching the bicep here, you never create the distance you need to really open up. Like, you know what I mean? You can see some of these short elbows. That's nice. He's complimenting with that. But then this one should then come over with the right, right? There's enough. Okay, now he was threatening a bit of a choke. Rozenstruik goes flat back down. Then he recaptures the underhook. None of this is bad exactly, but you're not really going after it doing this, is the point I'm trying to make. You're not really going after it. So another round for Pavlovich, but this is hardly inspiring. Ryan says, Luke, I'm currently rewatching all of 2024's UFC pay-per-view main cards. There's some real stinkers. I can't believe I had to watch Moreno Price 2 for $80. Yeah, it was a lot. Oh, thanks, brother. Appreciate you. Andrew, welcome to the party. Kevin says, apropos of nothing, I wish Roz's nickname was styled Big E Boy, a la Chuck E. Cheese. That would be sick. I agree with that. Chase, is this division cooked if John retires and doesn't fight Tom? Yes. It's almost like the UFC needs to pay John just for the health of the division. Yeah, but they won't for the health of the division, right? They're going to pay what they pay. I mean, whether that will be enough, I don't know, but they're going to pay what they're going to pay. But yeah, dude. I mean, look at the skill level here. Again, I'm not saying like they're nothing, but like relative to flyweight or bantamweight, or I mean, almost any other division. I mean, even fucking middleweight. All right, perfect timing. Round 3. My wife all of a sudden texting me. Okay. The wife is taking Tukes for a haircut today. And then after this is over, we're going to go to see some museums. It's going to be great. Nice jab from Pavlovich. Dude, pump that fucking jab, man. Pump that jab. There's just so much waiting around in this fucking fight, man. Ugh. Neither guy has a great ability to make the other one open up. But also, like, Pavlovich just spent 2 rounds dealing with this guy on the ground, and there was nothing but defensive guard holding. I mean, I guess he wants that's a nice left hook. Good way to finish the combo. But I'm like, dude, just take the fucking guy down. Like, what's he going to do? What, is he going to triangle you from bottom? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, just go do it. Decent jab from Pavlovich. Nice left hook. Powerful left hook from Pavlovich. Yeah. Rozenstruik just waiting around way too much. This was it. Good. Overhand to the body lock. Pinches him over. This is okay. This is not like excellent fighting, but that was a good decision by Pavlovich. That was a good decision. Won't make for the most fun fight, but he's, this is a very, I'll put it this way. The strategy you see, he's right back to the right forearm, which he'll use to, keep him pinned. He'll switch back to now forearm pressing down. He'll try and maintain that left arm underhook you can see there, right? And you can see now the head is substituting. But this is a little bit different. Now he's got him pinned up against the fence. He should open up a lot more here. And it looks like he might be doing that. Pull the wrist away. Yeah, this is what I mean. This is what I'm going to call a low friction way of winning an MMA fight, right? Where you've got someone who is dangerous for sure in a certain particular area, but then basically they have just enough again, remember the levels: survive, defend, attack, right? Those are the levels. And sometimes you have to survive even if you're very, very skilled. But like in terms of like when you just start out at something, it's survive. And then when you get a little bit better, you can begin to defend things. And then when you get a little bit better, you can actually start putting attacks together. And then it all really begins to work together. He is past survival mode when it comes to like jiu-jitsu underneath Rozenstruik, but he's at the defend level. And you can clearly tell because there's no real attack that ever comes from it. It is strictly defend. Survive, defend, attack. That's the hierarchy. Sorry for slurping on the mic. I usually hate it when people do that, so I apologize. And a lot of times, I don't know if those are blotches on Pavlovich's back or acne. I don't know what that is. Notice Pavlovich doesn't have live toes. He doesn't have his toes pressing on the bottom side into the mat. The top side is down, laces down. You have no pressure of doing that, or very little anyway. Now he switches here a little bit. Look at his left foot. That's live toes. That is what enables you to pressure into someone just like that. But you got to keep that shit. Now he's going to stand. Dude, hook the fucking leg, bro. Wrap his leg. Sergei, step over with you. Oh, Jesus, fuck. division is fucking cooked. Dude. This division is cooked. Nice left hook from Pavlovich. That was the same one he hit just a minute ago when he knocked him down. He's got some good stuff, but holy fuck. Step. Let's see. Step. He got intercepted there a little bit. Nice jab. Good. These are great. Now, this is better. You can see Pavlovich can open up a little bit more now that Rozenstruik is moving into him. Right? Now that because Rozenstruik was just waiting around the whole time. But now that he's moving into him, Pavlovich can open up a little bit more. So, a bit of a style contrast that didn't necessarily yield the best results. But Pavlovich, certainly your deserving winner. I mean, they haven't announced it yet, but I'm going to guess he wins that one walking away. I'm going to this fucking ad again. I'm going to guess he wins that one. No sweat, right? Aspinall killed Pavlovich. No more brawling. See, I think he'd be willing to brawl. He just needs someone to brawl with. Well, he could have brawled with Biggie Boy. Okay, he's not brawling as much, but I think he could be baited into it for sure. General Joey took Fertucci's haircut. Also, Biggie Boy is boring. He's not a lot, dude. So because these guys have such lopsided skills, like they're good at some stuff, but like really kind of bad at a bunch of other ththings, or just non-existent at a bunch of stuff. They become very style dependent to yield something that's like really fan friendly. There are ways, of course, you can get it. I've seen plenty of Rozenstruik fights that, they were shorter typically because he would just, body someone. He'd pound Son out right there on the fucking octagon floor. But, there are permutations where that works. The problem is, there's plenty where they don't. And it's like, these are just not even relevant questions for someone like, like who does Islam match up with at lightweight where it's going to create like anybody who he would relevantly fight, where it would create like a boring fight. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, some are better than others, but like the answer is basically none of them. Here we go. Official decision. Yeah, all three 30-27. There he is. There's your winner, Sergei. Mouth breathing. That's okay, though, right? He just fought an MMA fight, so I give him credit. Is he going to get a Felder interview? No. You know what? That's all right. I don't mind that. I'm not mad at that. There's George. George with his collar out like it's 2007. Put your collar in, doofus. The fuck are you doing, bro? You go come back from a time machine? There's Turkey. His beer's getting great. Fucking Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay, that's the most popular person. Well, I guess Donald Trump. But okay, sporting athletes, that's the most famous person to ever attend a UFC fight. That's crazy. That's crazy. It was Sergio Ramos, but now it's CR7. That's cool. How do we feel about the attendance here in this arena? It's not, by Saudi Arabian standards, it's actually really good. I'll say that. By Saudi standards, it's very, very good. This is way more than the PFL had. Oh, there we go. All right, doing a Shara Bullet. I am the pirate. I got to tell you, I think the pirate gimmick is lame as fuck. I'm not saying Shara is lame as fuck. I actually think his last win was tremendous, right? He's tremendous. But the pirate gimmick, like people are like, I'm a pirate, matey. I'm like, I always go back to the dodgeball movie. It's like, yo, you're not a motherfucking pirate, bro. Your name is Steve and you work at a desk, And obviously he doesn't do that, but like, you're not sailing the high seas. This ain't the fucking 16th century. What are we talking about here? But all right, co-main event next. Ooh, let's talk very quickly if we can. How about this commentary team, huh? Not bad. Not a bad commentary team. On play-by-play, John Gooden. And then your two-color would be Laura Sanko and Paul Felder. I don't know if this is the best combination that UFC can make, but it's definitely one of the better ones. And I saw someone in my comments call John Gooden a British Goldie, and I'm like, I don't want to sit here and bash Goldie, but I just don't think that's really accurate. I don't think that's fair. I think he's actually quite good. Lorosenko is, to me, one of, if not the best color commentator they have, certainly one of them, and Paul's another one on that list. And in fact, one of the other good teams that they have is the Contender Series team, which is typically, well, not always, but typically Dan Helly, DC sports legend, shouts to Dan Helly, and then Lorosenko and Paul Felder. And again, that can move around a little bit. That's not ironclad by any stretch, but that's a typical one that you see, and that is also an excellent one. Now, again, I'm not saying Dan is as good as John Anik or something like that. It takes time to get that good, and he's got, he's a very, very talented broadcaster. But when it comes to MMA, still something relative to what he's done the majority of his career, relatively new. But I think he's getting all of the good reps that he needs on that Contender Series show. Obviously, does the weigh-in show as well. So, shouts to Dan. Dude, Dan, unless you're like a hardcore sports nerd, this won't mean anything to you. But I remember when I moved back to DC as an adult, I was 24. 23? 24. I don't remember. Maybe, no, 23. I was 23 when I moved back. No, I don't remember. 23 or 24. And Dan Helly and Lindsay Zarniak were both on NBC4 at the same time. For many of you, it'd be like, I don't know who these fucking people are, but there's going to be certain people who know who that is, and that's a super cool thing. It was like a moment in time when, whatever. All right, forget it. MVP up at middleweight. I don't know how I feel about that. This fight is weird, but I kind of like it. I don't know what to make of it. I think it's an interesting test for MVP. Not one I expected, but an interesting one. And then in the case of Shara Bullet, it's a real opportunity to get some problem solving done, is it not? Like, how do you solve for this? And there's many different ways you can solve for it. You can do the Douglas Lima way. You can just wrestle him. There's ways you can do it, but what are you going to do? What's going to be that path? Very curious to see. This is a smaller arena. This is not a big arena. All right, here's MVP. I can't hear the music that well. Can someone tell me what he's... Is he going to dance? Him and Izzy love the dancing. Now, as a reminder, this is a 3 5-minute round contest. This is not, according to what I'm looking at now, this is not 5 5-minute rounds. So, an interesting one, to put it mildly. Movie title for Luke's life: A Serious Angry Man That Yells at the Screens. That's fair. Roy says, Luke, help me understand how Jared was ever an elite kickboxer. His striking seems so mediocre, constantly lunges into punches. Who the fuck is Jared? Who the fuck is Jared? I don't know who Jared is. I'm not even trying to be. I'm not being a dick. I'm like trying to rack my brain here. Who's Jared? Somebody help me out here. Alan W. Infinitely better than any combo of DC and Joe Rogan. I think DC is good, but I think DC and Joe together, there's a lot of times where they're just fucking podcasting. It's not my favorite. Alex says Lorosenko's crushing it. Yeah, she is. She's good. Ian says best commentary team. Always loved that Felder went to University of the Arts. That's right. He was a thespian. Thespian. OMG, Turkey Al-Sheikh is only 43. Yeah. Younger than me. Jeffrey, only way to beat Shara is to hold your girlfriend's hand. Y'all know what he's talking about? Where Shara just as a fucking maniac just goes off on this couple in like a Russian mall holding hands and kissing, and he's like, trying to be the fucking vice cop about it. Like, dude, get to fucking stepping with that shit. All right, here's Michael Venom Page with a global fight kit. He's not representing any one individual country. I don't know why that is, but UFC middleweight debut, finished 16 of 22 wins, 13 knockouts, a 10-time kickboxing world champion. Yes, but what kind of kickboxing? We're not talking about full contact. Well, it's full contact, but it's the point fighting sanctioning bodies and organizations. Here he is. Still doing the throat slash bit, charge. That one. There we are. Okay. Michael Venom Page is now in the octagon. Here comes Shara Bullet. Bro, these Russians come out with some haunting ass music, don't they? These dogs mean business when they walk out. There he is. Our matey, there is gold in these waters. Jeffrey, can you please sign on to Slack? Oh, is this Jared? He meant Jairzinho. Well, I think he was a good kickboxer. But I think okay, so he was a skilled kickboxer, but he never won any super significant titles, as best I can recall. I've not reviewed his resume recently, but I remember when I did, he had just done well. I mean, I think he obviously was a little bit quicker, a little bit leaner in his younger days, but he was good, but not overwhelmingly good. Right? Bonesaws age you apparently. Yeah, dude. Listen. I mean, he didn't do it, but people don't really. I don't know if y'all realize this. Turkey's boss is the dude that had the other guy, Jamal Khashoggi, bonesaw. Right? So 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. All right. Here's Shara, undefeated 15-0. 4th longest active win streak in the middleweight division. 8th most accurate striking performance in UFC middleweight history, 75.9%. Granted, that came against Antonio Tricoli. It's like, yo, he was teeing off on this guy. All right, here's Shara with both leg wraps. Not really relevant because I don't think he's going to be having to work out against any heel hooks. Commissions will vary on this one about what they allow and who can wear it and for what reasons, but I guess he doesn't really compete in North America where you have more stringent commissions. So you're going to get this one where he can wear them, but maybe they wouldn't care either way. I don't know. All right, let's take a look at the tail of the tape here. There's your tail of the tape. 73, 79-inch reach. They're both 185. 6'2", 6'3", 30 versus 37. But a 6-inch reach advantage for Michael Venom Page. That is significant. That is significant. All right, here's Joe Martinez, who, for my money, is the best announcer in MMA. I know people are like, "What about Buff?" I like Buff. I think Buff's good. I don't have it, and I have nothing bad to say. But I think Joe's the best. All right, MVP. I missed the. I forgot about that scar he has on his stomach. All right, here's Bullet with the ginger beard. Turkey and CR7 right behind him. Minus 220 favorite. Okay. If you have more than a 7-year edge, the younger fighter has won 65% of the time. So basically 2/3. You'll see Turkey fucking. He's looking at press row when he does that. Like fucking. Yeah. All right, here we go. Oops. All right, here we go. Round 1. Both coming out orthodox to start and with the stances that you would imagine. You got the hands down point fighting bouncy style of Page. And Bullet is got that long guard, kind of wide stepping, trying to make room for his kicks. Look at Bullet already leaning his head back and getting the left hand out for the counter. Pay attention to, I don't know how relevant it will be, but it looks like, and I would imagine this was something you could have predicted ahead of time, that left hook for Magomedov is going to be something he's going to want to try and use to counter a blitzing Page. So right away, Magomedov, pay attention to the location of some of these kicks. These are thigh kicks. They're not calf kicks. And that means he's going to be a little bit closer. As a result, you can kick to the calf a little bit further away. But it might mean he's got a little bit more power that he can deliver into them. That's debatable, but, something to keep in mind. There's that left hook counter you see him trying to throw. Magomedov doing a good job, even though he's on the outside and he's being pressured to a degree. He is not remaining stationary. He's doing a good job, and as a consequence, Page is having a bit of a difficult time kind of getting anything going thus far, but of course the fight is quite young. Oh, there's that right hand. Pushes Magomedov down off of a blitz. Page trying to draw out reactions, not quite getting what he's looking for. Overhand right into the takedown. I don't know if he'll get it. Head pops out, and now he's using a knee shield, which you can just drop down. I mean, there's all kinds of answers to the knee shield. Drop down, pick him up, and then put him back down again. You can do that. Both guys go back to orthodox. They separate. Fight hasn't quite opened up yet, right? Still kind of waiting for it to hit a couple other levels. Definitely a chess match here about trying to create openings. Bullet flashing the rear elbow for a potentially blitzing Page. That's an interesting little twist. Something of an uneventful round here. Tense. And now Bullet. Oh, Bullet was the one pressuring. Gets hit with the 1-2. That there was a changing of the timing on the 1-2. Well, I should say just the 2. Yeah, Bullet's got to get back on that leg kicking game. But you can see how close he's getting because these are going to the thigh, and that makes it tricky. You got to catch him in motion if you're going to do that. Okay, stance switch here. Now southpaw from MVP. Let's see what he does with that. Inside leg kick. Back to orthodox. Woof. These leg kicks from Magomedov, they don't look like much, but accumulatively, it's the best offense in this round. Oh! Spinning heel kick? Or was it a 2-touch? What was that? Oh, Jesus Lord. Please get this fucking commercial off. Was that a 2-touch? Jumping back kick? I need to see that again. That was sick. Let's see the replay on that, y'all. What are we doing? Yo, give me the fucking replay. Oh, Jesus Lord. Is it? I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know what goes into some of these. I mean, I've done some broadcasts, I've done low level broadcasts. I've never done like big stuff before, but like, and they all seem very planned, But at the same time, it's like, why can't I get an alternate feed where I don't have to deal with this bullshit? I'll pay more. All right, here we go. Show us the fucking kick, man. I want to see a replay. I halfway missed it. All right, round 2. Shit, I'm behind. Mine's going to be a little bit behind, y'all. Sorry about that. Mine's going to be about 5 seconds behind. Oh, MVP timing that leg kick and then coming over with that right. That was nasty. That was nasty. They're waiting for Bullet to move into him, and then they're going. Left hand, southpaw stance for Page. Kicks him away. All right, now he gets off. All right, here we are. Remember when KSI had a fight? I forget who it was against, and he just did jumping jacks for fucking however long it was. Remember, he was like, "Yeah, I was doing that style that MVP was doing." I'm like, "No, you weren't. No, you weren't. You were doing jumping jacks, star jumps, or whatever the fuck." It almost looked like a 2-touch turning back kick. Okay, fellas. Oh, man. Right hand into the clinch. Bullet's getting just out of the way of at least the worst of it. And they break. Bullet's trying to stay on top of him, but he's having a real hard time doing it. Page is tricky. Good job. Page goes to the body, then gets out and goes to the head. That was a decent kick on the exit by Magomedov. Oh, he waited in, and then with a jumping knee and right hand again. So he's waiting for Magomedov to throw, and then to an extent baiting him, and then he's going to let the right hand go. He's either waiting for him to plant and throw or to step in. See how he's pulling him back? He's pulling him into him. He's drifting to get Magomedov to follow and then intercepting. Here's Senko talking about how hard it is to move laterally when you're bladed in your stance. Page circles and now kind of recaptures semi-center. Not exactly, but a better position at least. Left hook from Page misses, and then so does Bullet. Oof, overhand right, I think partially landed for Page with the elbow. Spinning back fist misses for Page. Jab to the body. That was nice by Page. Dude, okay, good clinch here from Bullet. Underhook, high underhook. Double underhook, excuse me, from Page. He's just going to hold him and neutralize him here. Dude, look at the outside leg of Page, man. That thing looks like it's been fried with carbonic acid. Dude, look at that. Look at the outside of the left leg of Page. Holy shit. I mean, he's still moving on it well, but it looks like he got burned with hot grease or something. Nice. Dude, I got to tell you what, Page looks like he might be winning. I mean, I'm not really scoring this, so I'm not sure, but feels like Page has command of the fight at a bare minimum. With the blood of oxidizing on the mat, looks like Amber Heard came to the cage. I never followed that case at all, so I don't know what to say about that. Barone, thanks for doing this. Thanks you for being here, Barone. Who is better, Bruce Buffer or Michael Buffer? I mean, at their peak, Michael Buffer was better, but I mean, now Bruce is better. The production was worse last Saudi card too. Yeah, I suppose. Alan W. I'm watching the UK broadcast. Don't even know what you're talking about. They keep running this ad for Scout Motors, and they're playing CCR at the beginning of it. But it's like, it's a great song, but it's just the same song. The first 2 seconds of the song, 3 seconds of the song, over and over and over again. Greg says, appreciate you doing this broadcast, Luke. I asked you this on Blue Sky too. Who wins in a crump off? Izzy or MVP? Probably Izzy. Probably Izzy. I don't know much about crump, but to the extent that I've seen highlights, Izzy does it more. Okay. Making sure I get this clock right. Here we go. Perfect timing. Round number 3. Last one. All right, here we go. Oh, nice jab from MVP, and now he's taunting Bullet. Bullet still peppering the legs. Page returns fire. Page tries to leap. Bullet intercepts it. That's nice. Stops him from doing it. .360 spin from Bullet doesn't result in anything. Yeah, so we've settled into a rhythm here. You've got Page kind of circling on the outside, touching, baiting, typically bladed stance, waiting to get some kind of opportunity for Magomedov to close into range, because what he wants to do is throw the kicks. There it is. Anything where he begins to move inside of, like, outside of kickboxing range. Anytime he moves inside of that, Page is baiting, waiting for him to leave his feet, waiting for him to plant, waiting for him to step, you name it. There it is. There's the KSI jumping jacks. Oh, right hand way too high. Back to double unders from Page. Nice. Man, he is cracking Bullet with that jab over and over again. You know, the hands down style of Page is really probably going to be very problematic for Magomedov in particular. If your field of vision is narrowed, it's already hard for someone with good vision to see his shots coming, because they come not straight at you, but they're not here, and then all of a sudden they're there. Jumping flying knee, from Page. But you're going from something to nothing, but his field of vision is already reduced. Plus he covers distance really well, Page does. So, you know, it might be a uniquely bad matchup. The problem is it's really hard to gauge the extent of Magomedov's vision problems, or I should say vision limits, maybe. They're wrestling in the clinch here. Looks like they're about to break. Trying to decide who's got the edge here. Magomedov looks like he might be trying to keep him pinned. He's getting some good elbows off, and then finally there's the turn off the head. All right, and look, you can see automatically Page just slightly moving back. Oh, goes for the looks like he was going for a high crotch, then goes double unders, hits him on the clinch break. A little bit of heavy breathing there from MVP. It's somewhat uncharacteristic, I think. I think a left hook landed, and then maybe a left hand or right hand for Magomedov. Oh! Body kick for Page, and then Magomedov was able to overrun his position and then flurry on him a little bit. That was nice. Leg kick for right hand trade there. Magomedov goes back to it. A little bit more urgency for Magomedov. This is better from him. You might have to get hit a little bit to really make good contact with Page, man. Good jumping elbow, or excuse me, I should say elbow right hand that he kind of leapt into position with Magomedov over the top was nice. Jumping knee doesn't land for MVP. Oof. Page goes for a triangle, but there's not enough time left. That's it. Nice. I'm not sure who won that one. I wasn't really judging. I feel for sure Page won round 2. I'm not really sure about rounds 1 and 3. I was not really judging. What do you guys think? Who won that one? Page? Maybe? I guess. There's the ad again. Kill me. There it is. Maybe Magomedov can't even see the jab. Yeah. That was the first thing I said. Yeah. Henry, Dana said they have big plans for Islam. Any ideas? I suspect it's a 170 fight. Matt says they will give Mago the fight 3-0, 100%. I smell corruption. Oh, Magomedov. And fighter bias coming in the Middle East. Maybe. We'll see. Is MVP's speed normal for 37, or is he just gifted? He's very gifted. He's unusually fast. And good timing, too, right? It's not just that he's like a quick person, but his timing is good. Floyd was not as fast as Jab. What am I saying? Floyd was not as fast as Zab Judah, but he could beat him to the punch because his timing was better, generally speaking. All right, there's Riyadh, which my dad lived in for some time, long time ago. I think like the 60s. All right. Here is the decision. Yeah. 230-27s and then 129-28. I think I would have had it 29-28 myself, but good performance by him. Tricky. He's tricky. What's he about to do here? What is that? He got some kind of ring? Some kind of power ring? What is this? All right. Says he wants to come back to Saudi. Whatever. Look at me. I'm looking. That was a good performance from MVP. It wasn't overwhelming by any stretch, but I wasn't sure what to make of him at this weight class. All right, Felder's asking him some questions here. Yeah, the angles at which he throws these punches and the timing, they're not like you look at some of these highlights and they're happening in like really weird times and from really weird angles, like behind the shoulder of the opponent and stuff. It's really, really strange. Makes it hard to see coming. Obviously, you've already got an opponent with it. Man, we should have seen that coming. Like, oh, the fact that this dude can't see is probably going to be like the determining factor here. What's the ring? Yeah, this captain just caught the treasure. Okay. All right. Again, I don't. Oh, I'm the captain now because the other guy was the pirate. Okay. All right. Very good. Like I said, you can count me out of the pirate bit. Arr, matey. We'll drink the mead when we go ashore. Steve lunches until noon, and we're going to be eating in the work cafeteria room. That's how I feel about it every single time. All right. Main event time. How we feeling about it? I, on MK yesterday, was very non-committal about a pick because if I can be very honest with you, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I have no idea who will emerge victorious out of this. There's Izzy. Cool looking shorts. As I said on MK yesterday, Izzy has done more than Imavov by a million miles. His coach, Eugene Behrman, said that they really did stuff differently in terms, it seemed like what the workload and intensity was in the camp itself. Imavov surging with 3 wins behind him and the best win streak of his career, not just like 3 random wins, but the very best win streak he's put together. But Izzy's a different level than all of those guys, and this would be interesting. This will be interesting. But here we go. All right, let me get my thing ready because they're going to play this goddamn commercial, and it's going to drive me nuts. Sporting Oasis of Saudi Arabia. That's a little strong. It's a little strong. Ugh. There it is. Yeah, they're wearing the new gloves. All right. They're going to get the main event started here in just a few minutes, it looks like. All right. How are we feeling? Who's picking Izzy? Who's picking Imavov? I genuinely do not know who to pick. I genuinely do not know. If this was a year ago, I'd pick Izzy, no problem, but that's just not where we are. It's not where we are. Imavov, 28 years old. Izzy, 35. Imavov, one of those guys who could be surging into like his prime, and if he is, then we're going to see his best going forward. Or is he one of these guys who, he's just really never going to round the corner and be somebody special? He's never going to really, amount to something like a serious title threat. I don't know. I'm going to have some of my inhaler here because my lungs actually hurt. That helps. All right. No booze really makes the crowd shit, huh? I tell you what, man. My understanding is they don't. I have never been to a game in England. My understanding is they don't serve booze at those games, or like it's very limited. And I can tell you very clearly that they don't serve booze I've been to soccer games in Colombia. I went to El Campín. I saw Millonarios versus Once Caldas in El Campín, which is like their big stadium. And they don't serve booze in those stadiums either. And I can assure you, those motherfuckers got no problems cheering. It's cultural too. It's cultural. Like, you know, different cultures are more celebratory and sing-songy than others. I have found that Europeans and South Americans tend to be singers in public more than Americans do. But, you know, among many other characteristics. So I think it's partly cultural. It's partly cultural. Jeffrey says, hit him with a 1-2 and he went down like Tower 7. BC. BC on the call tonight. How many 9/11 rep? Dude, I tell you what. If BC, he won't do this. But if BC was able to commentate tonight, you ever seen like those clips that come up on social media? And it's like, Lexington, Kentucky weatherman weaves in 10 DMX references into his weather report. And you're like, it's got, you know, chance of rain on Tuesday, you know, but don't worry, it's not going to snow and there will be no stop, drop, or shutting down any of the schools. They're going to open up shop, you know, whatever like silly ass reference they would do, you know what I mean? And then people are like, oh, that's very clever how he did that. Or, you know, I did a bad one, but you get the idea. And if BC did something like that for like his, I didn't even know people were making 9/11 jokes until BC introduced them to me. I swear to God. I don't even find them funny, to be honest with you, because that was like a really terrible day. But he loves them. He loves them. And if he was able to weave that into calling the fights and nobody except MK Donks noticed, can you imagine how, like, that would be one of the most legendary things in sports broadcasting history. It'd be also one of the most morally appalling things, but it would be legendary as well. The glove switch back to old was for pay-per-view only, if I recall. Yes, I remember that they had said they didn't have enough gloves to go all the way back to the old ones. And so they had to give some to, I remember, like, you know, the Contender Series. I couldn't remember if it was all the fight nights, but, you know, here you go. I actually like the Japanese crowd. But see, that the reason why is because they're not quiet because they're bad. They're quiet because that's naturally part of their culture. And by the way, they can be effusive and loud at times too. But, you know, that's not them just being not lively. That's them conscientiously watching. There's a big difference. Again, it's partly cultural, you know. Kevbot.org says, I don't know if you already mentioned it, but are you doing a watch along for boxing tonight? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm going to finish this. We'll do a post-fight show when this is over. And then after that, I'm going to take a break, obviously, and then I'll come back tonight and we're going to do a stream for Benavidez Morel. Henry says, pour one out for Brighton. We got beat 7-0 by Nottingham in the Premier League today. Worst L since 1958. Wow. Stream is getting me through the 5-hour drive home. Damn, bro. Yeah, that's a tough one. Sorry to hear about that. That's a tough one. All right, here comes Imavov. He looked to be in incredible shape at the weigh-ins yesterday. You see this dude walking to the side. You can't see him now, but the dude walking to the side of Imavov with the long beard. He works for UFC. I don't know his name. No one ever asks about him. He looks very intimidating. And he's like definitely like security for UFC. And he never makes a big to-do about who he is. He doesn't do interviews. I don't know who he is. Quiet. I don't know if I've ever even seen him speak before. But he's definitely some serious promotional muscle. I can say that, man. God damn it. All right, here comes Imavov. Turn this up a little bit. Okay, 4-fight unbeaten streak, second largest strike differential among active UFC middleweights, and fourth highest strike accuracy among active UFC middleweights. Okay. The last two don't tell us much. All right, Imavov is in the cage. And here comes Izzy. Let's see what he comes out to. I can't quite hear the music. I don't know what it is. Bro, my man, dude, Izzy is as tall as me, and look at the dude next to him. This fucking mutant. Jesus, that guy is huge. Y'all remember Deuce Bigelow? That's a huge bitch. Holy shit, it's Bigfoot. Egod says, Izzy sounds mentally rejuvenated, so I hope his body didn't fail him. He's been an Iron Man up to this point, you know? Hans says, on the couch with my wife establishing top control. Well, we don't need those details, sir, but congratulations just the same. You know what I mean? I ain't mad at it. Alex says, Imavov coming out to the song Tomorrow by Salif Keita from the Will Smith Ali movie. Ah, okay. I mean, I can't hear them, so it's hard for me to judge. BH7, welcome to the party, friend. Izzy appears to be, I mean, I feel like he's always in good shape. The only fight where I questioned what kind of shape he was in was the Strickland fight. But he looks to be in pretty good shape for this one. All right, mouthpiece is in. They're applying the cut man's putting the Vaseline on his face. They're going to look at his nails. Okay, but he's got the big glove. He's got the old gloves, right? Do my eyes deceive me? It looks like he's got the. I can't quite tell. Maybe they saved it for the main event. I don't know. CR7 on his feet. That's cool. Mark Goddard, your referee. Mark Goddard, your referee. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape, boys and lady. 35 versus 28. 5-inch reach advantage for Izzy, and 1-inch height, obviously, advantage. That's it. But that 5 inches could be important. But in general, Imavov's either going to have an answer for the leg kicks or he's not. You know what I mean? The fight's going to hinge, I think, to a strong degree on that. I have to thank the Arabic Gulf, not golf countries. They provide us with UFC's cards that happen at an okay time for Europe. That's true. It makes their human rights violations and journalist killing. Okay. Izzy and Benavidez got the same boobs. Not exactly. Benavidez just doesn't have great genetics for like musculature. Izzy looks super, super lean. His face looks gaunt almost, right? There's Mark Goddard looking like he's waiting for the bus. I like Mark. I'm just teasing. The judges are ready. The fighters are ready. All right. Joe Martinez pumping him up. He is a, pardon me, plus 130 underdog. All right, Imavov has been introduced. Minus 155 favorite for Izzy. He's never been an underdog in 18 UFC fights. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, those are the old gloves he has. For sure. All right, let's get this clock ready. I don't want to fuck this one up. All right, they touch gloves. Here we go. Here we go. Round one. If past his prologue, Imavov's going to have an answer for the leg kicks. I don't know if it will be. We shall see. Because he's going to want to get inside boxing range. And Izzy is very good about using leg kicks to do damage, establish range, set up other attacks, escape, change rhythm, disrupt rhythm, and he can just accumulate rounds this way. So let's see what Imavov comes up with. So far, Izzy really letting it go hard already, putting real mustard on some of these attacks. This one, of course, is going to be for 5 rounds. Last one was just for 3. Imavov tried to get in with a left hook. Didn't really get all that close. There's the takedown on a double, or a takedown attempt, I should say, off the double. Izzy with a hard underhook. Throws him by. That's well done by him. And then lateral drops him over and escapes. That's nice. That's pretty good. Pretty good from Izzy. People think Izzy has bad takedown defense. He does not. He has very good takedown defense up against the fence. It's actually out in space. When you chain them together is when it falls apart. That was a single attempt along the fence. It was a good one, but Izzy is typically pretty crafty there. You have to make him defend in open space across chained attempts. That's where the problems emerge for him. Left hand misses from Izzy, big time. Double underhooks from Imavov. Izzy does a great job getting his head underneath and then exiting out. Really, really well done. Nice jab from Izzy. Not too terrible, but good contact. Second one misses. Izzy with a pretty high level of output thus far through 3 minutes of this first round. Imavov charging with a left hook, gets hit with a right of his own, or excuse me, gets hit with the right of by Izzy. Izzy stepping off the line as Imavov moved into him to defend the takedown. Goes right to the clinch. Let's see what he does. He's going to turn him from here. Let's see. Oh, harassing the balance with a trip. And they escape. There's those leg kicks again. I'm telling you. Big feints from Izzy. Oh, fantastic right hand from Imavov. Oh, and now they're just trading. Ooh. That was the best punch Imavov had landed, best strike Imavov's landed all round. There he is on a double. He's going to run him to the fence. Okay, I'm not saying that Imavov won't get the takedown here, but this is typically where Izzy is better. Typically. Yeah, you see what I mean? He's pretty good here. He's pretty tough. And he tries to sink back down. This time Izzy catches it, goes right to the plum. Question mark kick. No dice. Good body kick. Okay, round one in the books. Imavov had the best single strike, but I think overall the more damage was done. That was a nice kind of shovel punch. That was good from Izzy. Oh, sorry, from Imavov. Imavov had the best single strike of that, but I think the overall better work was done by Izzy. Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not. I just got broken up with. Suffice to say, I'm devastated beyond belief. Please offer some semblance of hope and respite if you can. Well, in the middle of a stream, I'm not really sure what to say except all things in life will pass. I know that's very, very cold comfort, but it is quite true. And I'm sorry. Izzy looks slow, though, and it has been like this more recently. I don't see how he'll survive the top five. Yeah, he definitely looks slowed down. Or he has slowed down, yes. Go. Here we go. Round two. Right away, leg kick from Izzy. Right away. Good jab, too. And another leg kick. Eye poke. It's going to fuck up my clock. Oh, no, they're going to keep going. All right, all right. My clock's a little bit off, but not too bad. Whoa, right hand from Imavov and then a left. That's it. Oh, that might be it. That might be it. That's it. That's it. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. I'm not sure about that stoppage. I need to see it again. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm not in any way saying it was bad. I just need to see it again. Imavov hit him with another long range, like uppercut or maybe right hand. And that sat him down. Then he followed up with a left, and that was enough. That was huge. What a win by Imavov. And really, that's where he was able to win, right? With his boxing, with Izzy pressure. Let's watch. Let's watch. Izzy steps down, and as soon as he does, he put his hands out to block the jab, and he came over with the right, and he was going to fire off with the left hook and switch stance. There it is, jab, overhand. And his hand came out. His left hand comes out to block, and then that left hand, when he follows up, that's the one that gets him again. Let me see if I can see it one more time. Oh, Izzy was trying to jab with him. Izzy was trying to jab with him. He was trying to jab with him, and it came over, and so then the right hand just finished him off. Let's see this. Let's see. He shows his back. Yeah, I mean, maybe it could have gone a little bit longer. But I don't think it's a bad stoppage. It could have gone a little bit longer. It could have gone a little bit longer. I don't think it was the cleanest stoppage I've ever seen, but is he thanking the crowd? Let's see if he retires here. I don't think he will, but I don't know. All right, let's see what happens here. I want to hear these interviews, and then we're going to get into the post-fight show. See if I could turn him up. I can't hear shit. I don't speak French. Maybe I didn't really need to hear. Whenever you're knockout, 30 seconds in a round, too. That's impressive. Says he feels good. He was in perfect shape. He wants to fight for the belt. What brought on? Felder's asking him like, what brought on the confidence? Like you knew you were going to be able to compete with him. How did you know? Man, that was a nice shot. He stiffened him up with that one. Steps in hard. Bang. Boom. Dude, that was nice from Imavov. That was nice. That was real slick. 4th win in a row. Remember, 28 years old. We'll talk about this in the post-fight show. Yeah, he's just talking about his confidence, his team. He's bigging up his team here. Are they going to talk to Izzy or not? I want to hear what he has to say. I mean, I realize this is Imavov's moment. I'm not trying to hate. I'm curious to see like what he's going to do about this. Yeah, he's still thinking his team and everything. Stick around for the post-fight show. We're going to react and get and do analysis for everything here. So they're asking him now about the belt being on the line between Strickland and DDP next week. And Paul's asking him, why should you be next for that belt? Well, Hamzat's next for that belt. Let's be quite clear about that. Bro, if I'm Imavov, I don't want to be next for that belt. I mean, who turns down a title shot? But you're 28. Like, give it a little bit of time. 1 or 2 more fights first. Win those. Yeah, he's listing off his resume, which in the last year has been superb. Imavov. There he is. All right. Are they going to talk to Izzy? Is he gone? Is he there? Fuck. We're not even going to get a chance to talk to him? All right. All right. Let's do this. That event is in the books. Let's tweet this out, shall we? Oops. Okay. Oh, there's that goddamn ad again. All right. Let me tweet this out so that everyone knows what's up, and then we're going to get this post-fight show going. Let's do it. Hold on 1 second. Jesus Christ, Lord. All right. Okay, here we go. I'm going to tweet this out, and we're going to get this post-fight show going. Okay. Okay. And then we're going to pull this up. All right. And then I got a interesting DM here from somebody. Ooh, here we go. Ah, okay. I'll have to take a look at it. All right. Okay. Let's do this. I'm going to turn this off. Okay. UFC Saudi Arabia is in the books. I would like to talk about it. So without further ado, let's get this party started. Okay. I'm looking to see if the broadcast is going to announce anything. It does not appear that they are. If you guys hear of anything, let me know. This is how it's going to go. If you're just joining me, thank you so much for joining me. Thumbs up on the video. Please hit subscribe if you haven't. And if you want to get in a question, a comment, whatever, fire that into the super chat, please. And we'll get to those at the end. Now, typically for a UFC pay-per-view, I'm going to go ham on the entire main card. We'll cover the entire main card. But obviously, we're going to spend the majority of the time on the main event and then the co-main, and we'll lightly touch on the other one. So this one might not go as long as a typical UFC pay-per-view post-fight show, but I hope to give you your money's worth. Thank you for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. Okay, so let's get this up if we can. I am trying to see here. Okay, now I've got it. All right, so. UFC, which fight night was this? Let's get the name of this one accurately. This was UFC Fight Night Adesanya versus Imavov, UFC Fight Night 250, UFC on ESPN Plus 108, UFC Saudi Arabia, whatever you would like to call it. This took place at the ANB Arena in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. In your main event, how about this? Nassourdine Imavov defeats Israel Adesanya at 30 seconds of round number 2. I'm going to pull up the rankings here so we can see what those were as we enter this, because that felt like a real turning point fight. Let me pull this up here just a second so we can get this going. As this is pulling up, I'm going to put my glasses on here so I can read everything properly. Okay. What was What were the fault lines heading into this contest? What was the way in which we could understand what this contest was about? And the answer was, to me, pretty obvious about what was happening here. This was old generation versus new generation, right? So you had the former champion, Izzy, not just the former champion by any measurement. He is the second best middleweight of all time. You heard Laura Sanko. I didn't get to hear everything from the broadcast, but I did hear her make this point that, like, his legacy is secure. That part is really not at issue anymore. It's just about, like, what else can he do? What else is really there for him? What does he want to do with the time that he has remaining? Could a title shot really be something that is in play, depending on how things go? And I think that if he had gotten a win, I don't think he was going to jump the line, like beating Khamzat Chimaev or something like that. And beating him. What I mean is, like, beating him out for the, like, who gets the winner of Strickland versus DDP2 at UFC 312. But he's kind of always a wild card, and he wouldn't be far behind. And maybe if Khamzat won, they would have fed him to Izzy after that or something like that. But that's really not going to be in play because he got stopped in this contest. But that was the fault line. Former champion, former great. 35, doesn't necessarily seem totally past it, but has been on something of a losing streak up to this point. But here was the catch to that. The catch was that, okay, he had 3 losses, but first of all, let's talk about the win. The win was a stoppage of Poatan. Phenomenal one at middleweight. That's the win. The other losses were Poatan, and that he was winning in that fight up until, like, basically he got stopped. It was very competitive at a bare minimum. So, okay, that's no harm, no foul. And then the DDP fight, he was kind of in, and then he had this momentary lapse of judgment. But DDP is, he's always a gamer. He's always finding opportunity. And hello, he was the reigning champion at that point. Okay, fair enough. You couldn't beat the champion. You're past the peak, but whatever. And then the Sean Strickland fight, which he did not look good in, but Strickland ended up being a champion. So you've got the guys he lost to: Poatan, double champ; Strickland, champ; and DDP, champ. Okay, you're just losing to the other guys who are either the very best or right at the very best in this division. Imavov, up to this point, has not been that guy. He has been surging more recently, stopping Jared Cannonier, beating Brendan Allen, blah, blah, blah. You guys know the whole story, but he wasn't a former champion. He's not a former champion. He's never even had a title shot. So if you were Izzy and you lose to that guy, you've now lost to, like, a new level of what it means. You're not losing to scrubs. That's not my point. But there's now a clear departure in terms of who you're losing to. It's now down a notch, right? You're now losing to guys who are below, at that point, championship level. Now, the loss might age well here if Imavov ends up going to a place and does great things. I guess we'll have to see, and we will talk about that in just a second. But for now, it represents something of a new layer. It's not just yet another loss for Izzy. It's a loss against somebody who is not even at their peak at this point, right? Good fighter, great fighter, but not really at their peak, and not someone who's ever had a title shot, not a former champion. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. This is a pretty big loss. I'm looking at the rankings here currently. Now, this will be updated by Tuesday, but as it stands today, Izzy was sitting at number 2. Imavov was sitting at number 5. 1 is Strickland. He's going to be fighting DDP. Khamzat's sitting at 3. You would imagine he's next. 4 is Whitaker. Boy, I got to tell you, Whitaker versus Imavov might be kind of interesting. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But that was the fault line in this fight. So what happened in the fight? Well, in the first round, let's look at some of the numbers here. I'm going to pull this up. I'll show it to you in just a minute. In the first round, just the first round, Izzy landed 20 significant strikes. Imavov just 8. Now, as I said during the broadcast, the single best strike either of them had came from Imavov, that kind of look down, and then he came up with, like, that shovel punch, almost like that up jab kind of thing. Yeah, more like an up jab he was kind of throwing, and he didn't even turn it over. It was kind of like this, where you're holding a mug, right? So that was the single best strike, but Izzy was doing Izzy things. He was active, I thought, right away. He attempted 50 total strikes, 26 of which were significant. That's more than double than here. Let me show them to you. Look at the numbers here. They should be visible. So this is what I mean. This is round 1. Round 2, obviously, they only got 30 seconds of, so I don't even know what to make of it. But just round 1. We're trying to set the context here. Izzy attempted 50 total strikes, 26 of which he landed, and 44, I should say, were significant strikes. He landed about half of those. But just look at the volume play here. just 23 total strikes attempted. He only landed 10. He attempted 21 significant strikes, only landed 8, went 0 for 3 on takedowns. Izzy had one kind of half-assed one. This 40-second control time measurement is just about pressing him into the fence. It's not top to bottom pressure. So it looked to me like Izzy was doing Izzy things. Someone had noted he didn't look as fast. That is true. He didn't look quite as nimble. That is true. But from a giving himself to the fight way, he did look pretty good in round 1. Pretty good. I didn't say amazing, but pretty good. He was active with the leg kicks. He was active with the middle kicks. You saw the question mark kick, a lot of stance switching. He had a couple of good jabs on his own. He had defended the takedowns. He was just more active and he was doing more things. And that is a really dangerous way to let Izzy get into a fight. We've seen it against Yoel Romero. You've seen it against any number of different guys. He'll just keep doing that. He'll just, firing the leg kicks, poking to the body, firing to the leg kicks, switching stance, getting off at an angle, firing the leg kicks. And it all kind of works for him unless you really get a way to disrupt that. He had that one punch Imavov did, the looking down and then coming up with the shovel punch. That was real nice, and it put Izzy on his heels. And I think he probably saw from that something kind of interesting, or something valuable, I should say. But round 2, man, it barely got going at all. Izzy comes out in round 2, body kicks him, I think maybe leg kicked him right away. Was going after him, but he jabbed with Imavov. And so what ends up happening is he catches the jab with the parry. I think he either caught the jab or he parried it with the rear hand, but he was trying to catch him with the jab of his own, and Imavov was stepping in. And so because Izzy was trying to intercept him, the right just came over the top because it was wide. His hands were like this. He had the one hand for the jab of Imavov, and then the other hand, the jab hand out. Well, look, there's nothing. The shoulder's not up, and it wasn't coming around the side. It was hooking, but it wasn't like Izzy was kind of ducked down here. And even then, it may have hit the temple, although this one hit the chin. But there was nothing protecting him. His head was kind of leaning back. A leaning back thing is something that you see a lot in MMA because there's much more open space to get away with it. It's what Sean Strickland specializes in. He has specialized in this idea that he's going to cross step and backpedal and lean his head out of the way, which in boxing is a bit of a no-no, but you're much more constrained in boxing in terms of your space. So that's why it can be a bit of a problem. It can be a problem in MMA too, but it's less of a problem. So you see guys get away with it. But I mean, there's different kinds of athletic profiles, there's different kinds of athleticisms, and there's different ways in which athleticism affects a game. I want to be very clear what I'm about to say, which is Izzy has a very technical game. Joe Rogan once called him one of the more, if not the most technical striker we've ever seen. At the time he said that, I think that was true. But Izzy also does have a game that is heavily complemented by his own athleticism. And to the extent the athleticism is impacted because he just can't get out of the way of things. His reflexes aren't quite there. Balance can be there, speed overall, just, your ability to move through space in a way that is helpful to you. That looks to me like it was compromised a couple of fights ago. You saw it compromised to a degree in the DDP fight, and it also looked compromised here. I'm not in any way suggesting Imavov fought some scrub. That's not what I'm saying. But it is also fair to say that if your game is to some extent predicated on athleticism, as you age, that part of it is going to be caught up with very, very quick. Now, what's interesting about it, and I have to go back and look at exactly how we set it up with eliciting the jabs or trying to get him to jab with him. Because, if you're jabbing and you're really extending, then what's happening there? You're planting your weight typically. And if you're planting your weight, that means you are stationary. You're not moving around. You have to sit down on the punch to let it, go. And Imavov got him dead to rights. So could a younger Izzy have rolled with it more? Could he have seen it coming better? Could he have gotten out of the way further? I think that's part of the story, but I also feel like the lead that Izzy has had as a very technical striker over the rest of the division, it's not what it once was, if it's there at all at this point. I mean, again, I don't know that Izzy was 100% when he fought Sean Strickland, but Sean was able to march him down. Now, Poatan marching you down is a different story. Plus, he got finished, but there was some element of that. And DDP didn't exactly have that. That's not how he won, but the larger portion of that story, I think, has proven itself to be true. Let's look at some of the targeting here if we can. Here, I'll pull this up again. Here's the targeting. So this is what they were aiming at. I mean, look at this. No body shots from Imavov. He was faking low and then coming high, but he was at, I wouldn't call this headhunting since 40% went to the legs. In fact, they were identical to the legs. But you could see him mixing it up. So he was really trying to mix it up. I mean, look at this first round. Total strikes landed. Like he really just, I said I thought he won it in real time. And there you have it. And then in the clinch, obviously, they did a little bit of work there. I'm not sure how they defined the ground here since he was never credited with a takedown, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. And you could see him mixing it up. We knew that if Imavov was going to get a win here, it was either going to be one of two ways, right? Imavov was either going to be able to take him down and make some effective use of that, or he was going to have to get inside of boxing range. Well, look at what he got. Pressure, not quite up against the fence, but pretty close to it. It was certainly pressure in the octagon, verbally, physically making him be at or around the black line, in certain cases behind it, and then using his boxing game in that way by getting Izzy to, meet him with it. Or maybe he did. I have to see if he actually set that up with what he was doing earlier in the fight. But either way, Izzy choosing to box with him. And Izzy did that in the first round too, in that flurry when he was like completely square with him. He was like kind of flurrying. And I was like, dude, I don't know if this is the place to flurry with a guy when your back is up against the fence like that. But he did. I mean, he took risks. Like, you can't say Izzy wasn't taking risk, man. He was taking risk. He absolutely was taking risk. But I don't know if those were advisable risks he was taking or not. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just feel like the game, his game has slowed. And I feel like the rest of the division has, or at least, the rest of the top of that division, I should say, has clearly caught up or surpassed him at this point, which is fucking inevitable. And I know what folks might say, 35, that is typically a demarcation line for excellence. And you can see that it still is even in this division, although middleweight was not one of those divisions when you look at the over and under 35 scenario. When you get to heavyweight, it's almost 50-50. So it's not really all that stark. But for a guy who's had, a plus 100 total pro kickboxing, boxing, and MMA bouts, I'm sure that punch might have sat a lot of people on their ass, but it sat him on his ass. And by the way, correct me if I'm wrong. Let me see this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that not altogether the similar way to Sean Strickland did it? Let me see that real quick. I want to look that up. I'm going to make sure that the audio doesn't come over. I want to see that. Let's see that real quick. I want to see Strickland. Was that not the same right hand that he got him with? Let's see. I want to see that. I'm going to turn this off. Hold on. Where are we at here? Right here. Let me see this from Sean. Here we go. I can't show it to you guys, obviously, because then UFC will, they abuse the copyright system, and they'll take it all down. But let me see this. He did a hand trap, so it's a little bit different. No, it's not quite the same. He did a hand trap and came with the right hand, and Izzy was trying to greet him with a hook, so it's a little bit different. This was off the jab, not quite the same, but similar kind of range, similar phase of the game, and similar sort of like tools being used, boxing tools. Similar place and real estate in the octagon. So there are some echoes there. And this is what I mean. You got to be able to march through the leg kicks, whatever way you want to solve that problem. You have to march inside of kicking range and then be making him wrestle with you and or make him box with you. And not that that's like an obvious thing that anybody's going to be able to do, but if you can do those things, and those happen to be two areas where Imavov excels, look at the results. So to me, I agree with Lorosenko's analysis of Izzy. You've got 5 title defenses. Someone else, maybe it'll be DDP, maybe it'll be Hamzat, maybe it'll be Sean Strickland. Who knows? But someone's going to have to match or exceed that to take his place. But in terms of as the second best middleweight of all time, but in terms of like where we are now, this is firmly, to me, Izzy is dropping outside of the top 5. I mean, Whitaker's sitting at 4, but this loss is pretty bad. He's probably sitting outside the top 5, and I think it's maybe a little early to declare that his title aspirations are over, but I would suspect that he probably won't be in a UFC title fight at any point for the rest of his career. I think those days, I'm going to guess probabilistically that door's probably closed. And I don't really know where he's going to go from here. Let's look at his resume if we can, man. I mean, it's obviously a very elite one, but more recently it has been bad. So He had the loss to Jan Blachowicz all the way back in 2020. Then he beats Marvin Vettori again. Then he beats Robert Whittaker again. Then he beats Jared Cannonier. That fight was not great. Then he fights Poatan in 2022, was doing well up until he wasn't, gets the rematch, wins, and you're like, okay, so he's got just the one loss there. But then he loses to Strickland in 2023. Then he gets stopped by DDP in 2024. And now he has been stopped by Imavov in 2025. DDP couldn't do it until the fourth round. Imavov did it in the second round. So now you have 3 losses in a row, 4 out of his last 5. In the last 2, he's been finished. He's actually been finished in 3 of the last 5, but he's finished in 2 of the last ones consecutively. And now it's happening quicker. And I'm going to say, I mean, the choke was thorough, but like that, I don't recall DDP landing a shot on Izzy like that. You know what I mean? So like they're getting worse. Like one of the lessons that I have seen, and Izzy, I think, is a smart guy. I think his team is very smart. I think his manager, I mean this quite sincerely, I think Tim Simpson is very, very bright. And they're going to have a conversation about what's next for him and whether he wants to continue and what that looks like. And I don't know what the terms of that conversation are going to be. What I can say is that I have seen this movie before, which is an elite guy loses not at all, and then it starts happening all the time, and then each one starts to get a little bit worse than the last one, and that's exactly what you're seeing with at least the last 3. Strickland beat him up, but it went to full 5, and it wasn't a terrible beating, but Strickland won that one pretty clean. Again, 137 strikes to Izzy's 94. And then you fight Duplessis. And by the way, all of those happened in different years, 2023, 2024, 2025. So it's not like the time off is making a difference in any kind of positive direction. So he loses to Strickland. Then he gets finished by DDP with 4 takedowns, by the way, 2 subs attempted in that one. And then he just gets, I mean, basically 5 minutes and change, a round and some change. So the stoppages are happening quicker and quicker and quicker. This is where I felt everyone's career is different. So let me stop when I say that. Everyone's career is different, but I have seen this before. And my personal opinion is, depending on how they matchmake him, and of course that's always the key consideration, but in my personal opinion, what's next is going to be, if he doesn't stop soon, is going to be like an epic beatdown. And that is something I really hope to avoid for his sake and frankly ours. I don't have any desire to see that. I don't need to see that. It doesn't prove anything to me. It's not valuable to the promotion. It's certainly not valuable for Izzy's long-term health and his future. Do I think he should retire? I wouldn't be mad if he did. I don't think that would be a bad call. You're at a place now where the losses are starting to pile up. They're happening quicker and quicker. They're happening, and I would argue, in more devastating ways. The next stop is something like, what Justin Gaethje did to Tony. I mean, that's a little bit maybe like a really like hardcore example, but something bad. That's what's waiting on the other side, is if he keeps going. And maybe that wouldn't even be the next fight, maybe it wouldn't be the next 2 fights, but it will happen. This is the nature of the game. This is the nature of breakdown. This is the nature of aging. This is just the nature of it. And it comes for absolutely everybody, including guys who were some of the very best to ever do it in this division, like Izzy was. I would like to see him retire. I mean, it's up to him. I'm not, I cannot tell grown men what to do. But for someone who's had the career he's had across combat sports and now where it's going and where it's trending, look at the trend. Look at the trend. Like, here's the trend before the Poatan fight, and this was the one at 2020 where, it was kind of close. Like, look at the trend. This is how it started. This is how it's going. Like, actually, this is kind of how it's going. This is how it's going. You know what I mean? We're just in here. Let me move this around. We're just in a different place now. We're in a different place now. And he keeps going, and this is going to get ugly. I don't wish it on him. I have no desire to see that. I think, his best wins are behind him. and probably his career should be behind him at this point. And if it is, he had an unbelievable career, super good, but it's starting to get bad. Okay, which takes us to Imavov, if I do say so myself. 28 years old. This is what we were talking about. Is he finally going to cross to the next level by, when he finally gets a chance? Because if you look at his record, it's been impressive, but he, to me, has been a little bit more limited. Strikes landed per minute, 4.5. Strikes absorbed, 3.2. These are good numbers, especially the strikes landed. That's pretty high. But, he didn't have a super well-rounded offense. He had the loss to Phil Hawes early in his career. I think that, maybe messed some people up. He had the loss to Sean Strickland. He had the no contest to Chris Curtis. So, there's a couple times where he stepped up a little bit or, even got tripped up a little bit. And, you didn't know what to make of it. You're like, well, I don't know who this guy is. But that Strickland loss was in January of last year. No, 2 years ago. So he was 26 when he lost to Sean Strickland. Well, now he's 28. 28 to 32 is not always, but that is typically the sweet spot for a fighter's athletic prime. It can come a little bit earlier. It can go a little bit later. It can be weight class dependent. But typically speaking, in a general sense, that's the sweet spot, 28 to 32. And it can go again. It can go a little longer. It can come a little earlier. It all depends. But it looks to me like this dude is entering his prime. Look at his fucking record now from before. This was Imavov's record before, right? Some nice wins. Don't get me wrong. The Shabazian win, the Joaquin Buckley win. These are good wins. He had some, even the Ian Heinisch win. These are good wins. But the Strickland loss, and then he didn't do well against Chris Curtis or whatever that was. It was the weird fight, right? And then now look at it. Since then, Dolidze, win. Cannonier, win. And he stopped Cannonier. Brendan Allen, win. Izzy stopped him. And he stopped Izzy quicker than he stopped Allen, Cannonier, and Dolidze. So, they're getting quicker. Look at this. This one went full distance, round 5. Next one, round 4. Next one, round 3. This one, round 2. He's getting faster and faster and faster and faster at how quickly he's putting these contemporaries away as he is going up the ladder. That is impressive. That's exactly what you want to see. You are hitting at the right time of your career. You're 28 years old. This is where I want to start seeing some of your best work. Right on cue. Right on cue. Had I'm not going to say a rough first round, but had something of a relatively quiet first round with the exception of that one punch that came up the middle. Which was nice. And he had a couple leg kicks too, but something of a quiet round. But he didn't need much, obviously, in the second round to get going. Stayed on the game plan, stuck to his strengths, set it up nicely, and look at the result. That was awesome. There is a log jam up at middleweight. We have at UFC 312, Sean Strickland's going to obviously fight DDP. Hamzat has to get the winner of that. I don't know how that one's going to go. So there might be a Hamzat Strickland 2. There could be a Hamzat DDP 2. They could do a run it back. It's a little hard to be Imavov's just going to get the title shot based on who wins between Chimaev and Strickland or Chimaev and DDP. It may not be so straightforward. A lot of things can complicate that. I would like to see him fight one more time. And I'm going to tell you, I think if he fights Robert Whittaker, that would be sick. That would be sick. I don't know if Robert Whittaker is going to be ready. I don't know how that's going to go. A lot of this may just depend on who's available and when they get called upon, right? We don't know. But that is going to be, that could be, if there's an opportunity for it, that would be amazing. Otherwise, Imavov doesn't have anyone else to fight at this point. That would make sense. Or, maybe he could fight the loser of Strickland versus DDP and then use that in the interim. There's ways to get maybe one more fight, 2 if you're really pushing it. But to me, it looks like the pecking order now is right now as we speak, DDP, Strickland. You could put Sean Hamzat in there ahead of if you want, but basically DDP, Strickland, Hamzat, and now Imavov. That's the top of the division, and they have pushed Izzy out. And he has set himself up nicely here. That's a great win for him. Kind of a quiet first round, but stuck to his strengths, stuck to the game plan. When it was time to go, he did. He did it with authority. Absolutely fantastic left hand to close the show when he knocked him down to really polish. Because the right hand by itself wasn't going to close the show. It was the left one that really put him back down face first. And so that's a really great, accurate shot in a kind of a high-stress situation. So that was really well done. Excellent finishing by him. Yeah, I think he's got good accuracy. And then that stoppage. The last thing I'll say about the stoppage, I didn't think the stoppage was the best stoppage I've ever seen. I thought it maybe could have gone a little bit longer. It was a little bit early, but it wasn't a bad stoppage. His back was showing to Imavov the entire time. It wasn't like he was scrambling to his base all that well. You know, he got hit with the right hand, and then the left one really did big damage. Like, you kind of are where you kind of are at that point. So, yeah, tough day at the office for City Kickboxing. Tough day at the office for Izzy. This doesn't change his place in the middleweight history, but it does change his place in the middleweight contemporary hierarchy. And now Nassourdine Imavov really putting himself at the front of that line in a very, very effective way, or pretty close to the front of that line, right on time. And by the way, let's see what that kid really turns into in the next 2 years. He's just now, in my view, entering his prime. He could be a force for a long time in this division. We shall see. All right. Let's talk about that co-main. Michael Venom Page defeats Shara Bullet Magomedov 30-27, 30-27, and then won 29-28. Let's take a look at some of the numbers from this fight if we can very quickly. Not the best fight, but fine. Your scores, by the way, Jacob Montalvo had it 30-27. Clemens Werner had it 30-27. Mike Bell 29-28. I don't really mind any of that. I'm looking at some of the numbers here. Magomedov throwing 102 strikes total, only landing 50 of them. 87 were significant. He landed 38 of them. Michael Page at 43. So, they're only 5 strikes apart in terms of significant strike attempts. There was no real takedowns in either direction. Control time is negligible. Let's take a look at some of these stats on the screen here if we can. I'll pull this up so it's a little bit out of the way. There we go. Magomedov just waiting around. Look at this, just kind of waiting around. He got to work a little bit better in round 3. I recognize, and there was a lot of like junk that Michael Page threw in round 3 that didn't really land all that well. And you could see his accuracy or significant striking percentage went down 61, 56, 55. So it kind of dropped over the course of that fight. Excuse me. But the test here for both guys was MVP is going to go to middleweight. Let's see what that means. He's got a game predicated a lot on, heavily predicated on reflexes, timing, speed, athleticism. What is that going to look like at age 37? What is that going to look like up a weight class? And how is that going to intersect with kind of like a bit of a more sort of like Thai-ish style of kickboxing that Bullet Magomedov has? And you thought, okay, he could go after the leg kicking, but as we saw, 2 problems emerged. One, he was kicking up on the thigh, not the calf, so he was getting closer. And then as he was stepping in, he was getting countered with some of these, like, if not blitzes, just some of these quick reactions that you got from Michael Venom Page. In fact, there wasn't necessarily a lot of blitzing. There was a lot of reaction, a lot of fast twitch, explosive striking, but it wasn't blitzing over the course of the octagon surface. That's really not what he was doing. So he was just waiting on him, waiting him to move into him. He would feint him and whatever, and that would disrupt his rhythm. And like, dude, he got off 9 significant strikes in round 1. Bullet did 7 in round 2, and then obviously 22 in round 3. He got a little bit better for him. But between the first 2 rounds, 16 total significant strikes. Like, that's just not a lot. And especially when you go to the targeting, Magomedov, look at the targeting here. He couldn't make contact with the head for shit. He targeted the head 21% of the time, to the body. That was a little bit better. And then to the leg, 34. You did see some damage here on the leg, no doubt about it. But this, to me, made a big difference. He was able to get Magomedov to step into range, and he would lean back. And so he would force him to lean with the lead hand, and then he would chop him over the top with the right hand as he was, to intercept him, because he would get him leaning back in a particular direction, or he would just get him leaning forward into it. But you know what I mean? Like, you would force him to like these off-balance positions and then intersect with him because he could cover so much distance. He had that, I think, the 5 or 6 inch reach advantage, whatever it ended up being, a pretty significant one. You saw the result there. Dude, that's a great win by Michael Venom Page. Michael Venom Page, I didn't know what to make of him coming over from Bellator this late. I didn't know what it was. He beat Kevin Holland, but Kevin Holland fights like a donk, and I don't know where the fuck Kevin Holland is right now. He goes tooth and nail with Ian Gary. He loses. I wasn't sure about that. I thought he maybe kind of Ian Gary maybe had lost that one, but fine. It wasn't like it was a super dominant performance either way. And then he fights Bullet Magomedov and he polishes him off. Like, these are not like the best names, although Ian Gary's a pretty great name. But these are not like some of the biggest names in terms of like, top 5 or top 10 just yet. But they're fan favorites. Kevin Holland, fan favorite. Bullet Magomedov, something of a fan favorite. And MVP's gone in there and kind of showed him up. Now, he's been 3 decisions in a row. It's not really like he's, cleaning this out, but that was a crafty fucking performance from him, man. That was crafty. And it wasn't like he got away from his style. He just found whatever the narrow lane was, waiting, feinting to get Magomed to step into him or to hold steady and then to be hit. Like, he had to kind of set all that up with what he was doing, which we talked about, but he fucking did. He did. That is crafty. And for Shara Magomedov, where does this put him? So he's got wins over Bruno Silva, Antonio Tricoli, and then Michael Olasheyk. Like, these are nice. The Armin Petrosian win was nice, but then he gets beat here. And it's like, my view on this whole thing is, was he 31 or so? My view on this whole thing is, like, when you look at it, and what am I saying? 31? No, I don't think that's quite right. How old is Bullet Magomedov? Let's see. He is 30. Yeah. He'll be 31 in May. So I wasn't too far off. He's smack in the middle of his prime. And to me, it's like, I don't think it's the biggest deal that he lost to Michael Venom Page, in the sense that Page is a very unique kind of fighter. And it's not like losing to him tells you much about like how it would go against wrestlers in this division or something. But I also feel like if you're 30 and you can't figure out MVP, not that that's an easy thing, but the very best guys, I bet you could in this division or at 170. And to an extent, Ian Gary already did, right? It wasn't like a beatdown, but you get what I'm trying to say. He got his hand raised in the end. He did enough to get the job done. Like that, and he did it, Gary's not even in his prime yet when they fought. Not now, not in that fight either. And he still figured it out. This is what I mean about Bullet. Like, dude, Bullet against the right kind of opponent. Yeah, against Petrosian, he looked great. He looked awesome. But this is a tricky one, and it's unlike other ones. It's not like there's 5 of these guys he's going to have to figure out. But it's also just kind of a fight IQ test. It's a test like, what's the well-roundedness you have to go to other parts of your game. It wasn't like he had an offensive wrestling game to really go to here. So he had to slug it out with him. And, if you have trouble negotiating the distance and every time you step into range or you try and plant and throw, you're being countered and pushed back, and then the other guy's landing like very demonstrably on you, and you have no other B game to go to, this is a problem. And I talked about this before. You can have an A game and not much of a B game if your A game is lights out. So we've talked about this before. Khabib Nurmagomedov, not the best striker. He has something of a B game, but it's not much. It's his A game. His A game was dominant A game. And that was fine because people basically couldn't stop his A game. Izzy, when he was really at his best, it wasn't like he, it was completely worthless off of his back. You saw him in the Gastelum fight do a fair number of things to keep himself safe. But in general, he's not going to win fights off of his back. And that wasn't the only fight, the Vettori fight too, but he's not going to win fights off of there. But at his peak, I'm not saying he was as good as Khabib in that sense, but at his peak, look at what he was able to do, right? If your A game is that good, your B game doesn't need to be that much. But Bullet's A game is not elite. It's good, but it's not elite. And he doesn't have hardly any B game. So that's a problem. Maybe the rule or maybe the vision going forward is just to match him up fun or, keep climbing the ranks or whatever, but they don't necessarily need him to be a title fight guy for them. He can fill out cards in Saudi Arabia. They can get him, or UAE or whatever. And he can get, a fun opponent and it can look pretty cool and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't need to have title implications. It doesn't need to be like who's going to be next in line for the number 5 ranked position. It's just about maybe entertaining, because if you're 30 and you can't quite figure this out, it's like, I'm not saying he wouldn't be able to in a year or two, but like if you're at this place and I don't really see much of a B game at all, and your A game can be formidable, but it's very opponent dependent, I think we have to have some questions about the upside here and where it actually falls. I'm not declaring to you we can say it's done or, he'll never. I'm not declaring to you the limits of his A game is fully known. That's not what I'm saying to you. But I am declaring that, like, I think people being like, how far away is he from a title? Far. Far is the answer. Far. He's not close. He might get close in a year or two, depending on how things go, but he's not close. And I would be skeptical if he gets a lot better. I think if you're 30 and you still look like that, which is not bad. I'm not saying it's bad, but like there's no B game and the A game is a little bit opponent dependent. So where does MVP go from here? If I'm looking at the rankings at middleweight, they had Bullet at 14. This might push Bullet out of the rankings, and it might push MVP into it. Was he even ranked at welterweight? Yes, he was 15 at welterweight. So he probably will jump into the middleweight rankings with this one. And I got to tell you, after that, listen, I don't know how he's going to do against the Anthony Hernandezes of the world or even the Roman Dolidze's. I don't know how that's going to go for him. I still think there's probably a noteworthy ceiling for MVP too, 37. We have to have managed expectations. But, dude, that was nice. He's fucking slick, dude. He is slick. I didn't know what to make of him when he came over from Bellator. I'll tell you what, it was a good move for him. He is still relevant. He's having relevant MMA. He's still doing relevant things, and he's still doing it with his style. He didn't really have to give it up. He's complemented it in other ways, but that was impressive. That was very, very impressive by him. I think it's time to maybe pump the brakes on Shara Bullet. He's got some other issues to work on, I think is a pretty fair way to put this. Elsewhere on this card, Sergei Pavlovich defeating Jairzinho Rozenstruik, 30-27 across the board. Wow, the Imavov finish was the only finish on the card. I totally forgot about that. This fight sucked. I think it's an indictment of heavyweight, but I think Pavlovich did what he needed to. First 2 rounds, he kind of luck boxed his way to being on top on the ground. Third round, he was able to seek it out more actively, and that was basically enough to win each of those rounds, I think. But even if it wasn't, he was still doing some pretty good stuff on the feet. He had a really good right hand. He was setting up by shifting off to his left. That was pretty nice. He was able to hit. I think let me look at the numbers. I think he knocked down. Let's see if he gets credited with a knockdown here. I want to see. Did they credit him with a knockdown? They should have. They did not. That's interesting. He got 2 takedowns, Pavlovich. He got 1 in the second round and then 1 in the third round. The third round was the best one because it came with almost 3 minutes of control time. Not a lot of offense from either guy. Look at these numbers from this fight here very quickly if we can. Anemic output, 11-7 significant strikes, 3-6 in round number 2. Granted, there was the 2 minutes and 19 seconds on the 1 takedown. 11 of 4 in this one with the 1 takedown. And again, almost 3 minutes of control time. And if you look at this, dude, look at Pavlovich. Barely touches anything else. He is a headhunter and nothing else. We talked about how much that limits him being set up. And you could see Biggie Boy was trying to, make a use of a diverse skill set. This is an important win for Pavlovich, given the difficulty he's faced in this division after getting iced by Tom Aspinall. I don't know if he looks quite fully back. He did look to be in pretty good shape, but he got hit walking in, which he typically does. He usually has a good enough chin where it doesn't matter. It obviously mattered a lot against Tom Aspinall. It didn't matter in this particular case, but he did get hit once just walking in, and he got clipped with a left hook from Rozenstruik. What I'm going to say is that was an important win for Pavlovich, and it might have been just one of those situations for him where, win and advance. But, look at these fucking numbers, as I showed you. 84% to the head and then single digits to the body and the leg. The guy has to add other things to his offense other than just the boxing. And even if it's just his A game, build a couple of complementary pieces around it, things that enable you to make that boxing game work better, like what Imavov does, goes for the takedowns and everything else. That all aids his boxing. They typically happen at similar ranges. You can obviously bleed one into the other. And, it makes the whole thing work better. That's what Pavlovich really needs here. So many of these guys focus on what is my mental state and, how do I feel about my life? It's like, dude, these are big existential questions, and I don't fight in the octagon, so far be it for me to say that that's not important. It probably is extremely important. In certain ways, it might even be crucial, but it also is not really a focus on what I think the bigger problem tends to be for a lot of these guys, particularly at heavyweight, which is just skill development. I think a lot of security physical and mental, could be achieved by having broader skill sets that they could leverage against quality opponents. But if you have a narrow skill set, even if that narrow one is deadly, there's just a lot. He couldn't make him do something. He couldn't make him get out of the situation that he was in. So he was just kind of reliant on finding like these one-off opportunities, and like the numbers speak to that. So an important win for Pavlovich. I do have respect for what he was able to turn in, but I don't know that I like, oh, he's back. I didn't get that feeling. And then Rozenstruik, whatever. Loke Dog got the win over Said Nurmagomedov. I missed 2 rounds or a round and a half of this. But Nurmagomedov coming out like a bat out of hell. But then I think Loke Dog kind of, that pressure in the end was important. And then lastly, Fares Ziam beating Mike Davis. I don't know, 30-27 across the board on that one. I don't know what to make of that one. Ziam looked good. He had good boxing, good accuracy, good decision making. Like he I don't have a single thing to like, oh no, he got lucky. No. He earned that one. But Davis came out and pulled guard in like fucking 15 seconds. Like that was a weird performance from him. I don't know if he was injured or he had like just a strange strategy. I don't know what it was, but he just didn't look like himself, and I don't quite get it. Elsewhere on the card, nice wins by Shamil Gaziev. He wins in the first round via TKO. Terrence McKinney able to beat the shit out of Damir Hadzovic. I saw that one. That was a beatdown. And then Jasmine Jazdavicius getting a nice win over Mayra Bueno Silva, who also gassed in this one, 30-27. And then Hamdi El Wahab in a terrible fight. All right. If you guys got anything in the super chat, we'll take a look at it now, and then we'll go from there. If not, that's okay too. Thank you for watching just the same. All right, let's see here. Yeah, I told you too slow. But it wasn't a speed issue. It was somewhat of a reflex issue, somewhat. But it was out technique too. Like watching a hero's end. The end of a fighter's career, if they don't cut it off early enough, they all are going to look like this. If Habib if Habib just kept going, it would have looked like this eventually too. There is no. This is what happens if you keep doing it. Joe Paul, I know that pain. Focus on yourself. Find a hobby to take up, and don't jump into another relationship right away. Take care. This is good advice to the gentleman who had just been dumped. Izzy tried the Poetan versus Hill wave off. Oh, when the referee intervenes? Yeah, that didn't play a role. Imavov seriously bricked up. Yeah, that motherfucker is jacked. Nick says, I love when you get to watch an old lion find peace in their life the way Izzy has. Unfortunately, you can't seem to win at the top when you're at peace. I cannot tell you how true it has been, how many fighters I've seen who had fucked up lives. I'm not saying Izzy did or didn't, but other ones I've seen who had fucked up lives, and then they achieved a bunch in the octagon. They made a bunch of money. They got married. They had kids. And then they just weren't angry anymore, and they didn't have an edge anymore, and they couldn't fight well anymore. I've seen it. I've seen it. Longest post-fight interview ever for Imavov. I guess because Izzy split, that's what you're going to get. Izzy needs to retire, says Matt. I don't necessarily think that's crazy. I really don't. Mike says, give Izzy fun super fights from now on. I could live with that. 205 craziness, But I think if he keeps going, he is headed towards a beatdown that could change him. And I think getting out of the way of that is pretty important. Matt says, there's nothing for our Izzy to prove anymore. Just walk out into the sunset with the bag while he doesn't have severe CTE like James Toney. Dude, I interviewed James Toney in Vegas. That motherfucker CTE is so bad. He slurs his speech so bad. Like, not even like a little bit. Like, it's hard to understand him. And he can't put more than like 7 or 8 words together in a sentence. It's really, really, really bad. I really hope Izzy can. I'm not saying he's got to have the James Toney fate, but what I'm saying is any kind of future compromised by CTE, I hope he avoids, How about Izzy versus MVP? I think they're boys, but maybe. Or going up to 205. Yes, but then like they're going to get heavier punchers up there. So that's like not necessarily like respite. Top 3 post-fight interview advices for donks. If you're close to a title, know that. Have someone to call out if you need to, and have some kind of prepared remark. All credit to Imavov, says Paul, but Izzy really fucked himself by waving off Goddard and not taking the time after the eye poke. Izzy looked in great shape. I mean, maybe that played a role. I dismissed it a minute ago. I don't know. I don't know what role that played. You could be right. I tend to think like if your hands are here, dog. I mean, if your hands are catching the jab and then your jab, I mean, dude, look at that. That's such an opening, you know. And again, it wasn't like he was here with the shoulder protecting him. He was just here. I don't know what to say about that. Nick says, when he looks back, the peak will be flattening Poatan. That's a higher singular high than almost anyone will ever have. That is true. What a career, whatever's left. That's a sick-ass win, too. Jacob says, which underrepresented countries have the most MMA potential? My dark horse is Iran. Iran's potential is massive in the sport. Elite wrestling, but lacking MMA infrastructure and thoughts. Yeah, and those guys, I mean, they're under like crippling sanctions with the United States and other places as well, you know, and they're the people that run that country have royally fucked it up. But like the people of Iran, dude, we're talking about like an ancient Persian culture here. They have been dominant in, dude, like they dominate in wrestling. They dominate for a time anyway in weightlifting. You know, dude, they're fucking awesome. Like their potential is huge. But my answer to that one is Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is ready to make a big move. Nick says, Izzy losing by strike shows how much a champ like him influences the standard of a whole division, like the wrestling and welterweight since GSP and Hughes. Totally. He leveled up, and not just him, like everyone plays a role, but like what he brought to the game, he leveled it up. He absolutely leveled it up. And I think that the game got better because of what guys like him brought it. Like the best compliment I can pay to any fighter is, did the way they fight influence their peers enough to copy them to some degree? And the answer is yes, in Izzy's case. Izzy needs to get back on the juice. Guy know Izzy is prime Izzy. Well, you know, these are accusations. Robert says, criticizing Chechen fighters for Kadyrov ties is fair, but isn't it hypocritical to ignore Israeli fighters backing Netanyahu or Ben Gvir? Are you new here? Are you new here? The focus favors domestic oppression over imperial violence. Guys, I have a question. Who criticizes the Israeli government inside MMA more than me? And I mean among like media. I've got the Palestinian flag and the Lebanese flag. This is the Lebanese flag. And there's the DC flag. I mean, are you new to my channel? I would say that not criticizing Israel is something that people typically don't accuse me of. Typically. Christian says, Hamzat versus the winner of Sean DDP and Imavov versus the loser of Sean DDP. Yep, exactly. Are the fights to make, in my opinion, but I'm not exactly a numbers guy, B. Yes, I think that is a good way to approach it. I think that's a good way to approach it. Oh, whoops, excuse me. But not the only way. Angel says, for Izzy, fight MVP, retire or join Jabberwockies, or retire and open a dog. Okay, we're doing the dog bits again. It sounds insulting when I say this. I don't mean it to be. In fact, I mean it the opposite. A lot of fight fans, and this is very common, and I'm not going to beat them up for it because I understand it. A lot of fight fans they'll pick their favorite fighter or somebody that they just like to watch fight for whatever reason, and they want them to just continue as long as possible. You know, and they're sad when they hang it up. And I'm not like that anymore. I was once like that. You know, oh, it's a sad day when they hang it up. And then usually now I'm like relieved when they hang it up. Not even like happy or sad, just like, you know. I don't feel like hanging on is necessary. And I think guys who hang on more often than not ends up backfiring them against them big time. Leaving early is leaving on time. Chris says, I felt you got a bit of unfair heat over your reasonable 35 and over stat. Am I wrong thinking? I don't even know what the heat could be that I took, since it's just math. But okay. Am I wrong thinking Volk's old man skit was about this? Anyway, how sweet does the complete other video? I've had vindication about this long before this fucking fight. There's so many times people are like, yo, like these so-and-so's hating on you. And then I'll look at the hate and it's like the least interesting dumbass arguments imaginable. I'm like, why are you paying any mind to this? More to the point, like the stat is not even about 185 and up. It's not even about 170 and up. It's really about 155 and down. And that is still very much like batting 1,000 over there. 170 was the tweener. I asked a month ago, I hate to be a pest, but with Izzy losing, I figured it was relevant in this case. Have you had a chance to review what I sent? 58% loss rate for ranked middleweights over 35. Buddy, I am so sorry. I have been behind. My dog died, but I will get to it. I promise I will get to it. And thank you for sending it to me. Danny says, Izzy tried to let me cook and got roasted. I just don't think that that's the... yes, I mean, that's the chain of events that happened, but... Did you task BC to check Robert Thomas's rental properties in Vegas? I should have. Have you noticed that Israel's exits have been more linear now than ever? Yes. Yes. I think it's because he's getting crowded more than ever. He looked so good in round one. I want to see Imavov versus Kyle Bahalio. That's a cool fight. I don't know who's going to take that one, but that's a cool fight. Strickland's just too boring. Jab, teep, Philly, and being edgy. This gentleman writes, did UFC have a hand in Bloody Elbow being bought? I don't think so. That's not my understanding. Jeet says, Imavov versus Kaio. That's a cool fight. I don't think Imavov's going to want it, but that's a cool fight. Two Changs, any interest in a Cannonier rematch for Izzy? No, that fight sucked. Why would I want to see that again? And then Alan says, Iron Sheik would actually be good in MMA if Prime today and didn't choose a WWE route. Yeah, he was a good wrestler. One of my favorite places in Atlanta, I don't even know if it's still around, there was a Persian restaurant in Atlanta called Salar. And Salar had been visited by the Iron Sheik, and there was a picture of him, but they also had a picture of him like in a real wrestling singlet from his days as like a real wrestler. I think that's right. Anyway, I don't know if Salar is still around in Atlanta, but if it is, go eat there. It's awesome. All right. Boys and girls, we are done for this broadcast. As a reminder, I'm going to put the post up here in just a minute. We are going to be back. We're going to be back for tonight. I'm not sure exactly when. I think there's 4 fights on the PBC card. We're going to watch the co-main, the Brandon Figueroa and the Stephen Fulton Jr. rematch. The last one of those was the fight of the year, or candidate for fight of the year anyway. And then we're going to watch, boys and girls, I am fucking telling you, please listen to me. David Benavidez versus David Morrell is going to be a fucking gunfight. Maybe not the first couple of rounds, but eventually it's going to get cooking. And when it does, it is going to be awesome. Neither guy has fought someone this good yet, especially not Morrell. Benavidez has gotten close, but Morrell has not. Morrell has never faced somebody like Benavidez. Benavidez, all high octane output, downhill, wall of fucking punishment coming your way. And Morrell, absolutely super athletic, Cuban slickster puncher. Dude, this fight, I mean, I cannot guarantee what's going to happen in that fight. Nobody can. But if you're looking up the ingredients, 2 undefeated guys in their 20s with amazing offense, huge stakes involved, amazing style clash, and they're both like, at least one's high octane and one's like a boxer, slick boxer puncher. I feel like the ingredients are there for an amazing fight. I really, really do. So we're going to watch it. BC is going to be on the call, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe it? We're proud of BC over here. We're proud of BC. Oops, let's get a couple more of these in, and then we got to go. My boy Luke is going to be tired after tonight, buddy. The grind don't stop. Tukey needs shoes. Alex says, thanks for the early donk stream. Looking forward to this evening stream for that sick boxing pay-per-view. Guys, cannot wait to show it to you. Cannot wait. And thank you for your donations. I really appreciate it, everybody. Thank you for people who watched, who liked the video, who subscribed, who donated, who became members. Mwah. Love you all. Let's get out of here. I'm going to see you guys tonight. Please don't miss this fight. Even if you don't even join my stream, please watch that fight. It's going to be sick. I can't wait for it. Here's the last one. Where can we watch the boxing match? ppv.com. Is the best place to go, I think. But check your cable provider and see where they're selling it or where you're going to pirate it. You know what I mean? ppv.com, though. That's it. We're done. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it so much. I'll catch you later on tonight. And until then, well, don't get sleep.